No mortal is capable of keeping a secret. If his lips are silent, his fingertips speak. All family life is organized around the most damaged person in it. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or the deepest despair. A father's death is the most important event, the more heartbreaking and poignant loss in a man's life. People in general are insincere in sexual matters. They do not openly display their sexuality, but rather hide it by putting on a tight coat zone from a matter called lie, as if it were bad weather in the world of sexual relations. We are never so defenseless as when we laugh, and never so helplessly unhappy as when we lose the object of love or his laugh. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we laugh. Recognizing a problem is half the success in solving it. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. The voice of the intellect is quiet, but it never tires of repeating, and listeners are found. Only the complete absence of sex can be considered a sexual deviation. Everything else is a matter of taste. Experience teaches us that the world is not a nursery. In the small matters trust the mind. In the large ones trust the heart. A man is sometimes more generous when he has little money than when he has much, perhaps to keep from thinking he has none at all. The scope of one's personality is defined by the magnitude of that problem, which is capable of driving a person out of his wits. We seek more to take suffering away from ourselves than to gain pleasure. Nothing costs so much in life as illness and ignoring an illness. We are so made that we can only derive intense enjoyment from a contrast and only very little from a state of things. People are more moral than they think, and far more moral than they can imagine. We do not randomly choose each other. We meet only those who already exist and are subconscious. The secret of the human soul lies in the psychic dramas of childhood. Get to the bottom of these dramas and healing will come. Masturbation is one of the primary abodes, the primary addiction. Subsequent addictions, alcohol, tobacco, morphine, are only its substitutes. When people marry, they no longer live for each other as they did before. They live with each other for someone. Third and dangerous rivals soon appear for the husband, the household, and the nursery. We enter the world with loneliness and lonely leave it all. Adaptation is partial death, the disappearance of a particle of individuality. Perfect eternal hate, purified love, exists only between the addict and the drug. All people are born bisexual and later choose their sexual orientation depending on their life circumstances. Time spent with cats is never wasted. A woman will never want sex with a man who doesn't get her hints. A woman should soften but not weaken a man. Maturity is the ability to postpone gratification. We adults don't understand children because we don't understand our own childhood anymore. There is no need in childhood as strong as the need for father's protection. History is just new people making old mistakes. Who lacks sex speaks about sex. Hungry talks about food. A person who has no money about money. And our oligarchs and bankers talk about morality. The only shame in masturbation is the shame of not doing it well. Before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, first make sure that you are not in fact just surrounded by assholes. From error to error, one discovers the entire truth. If you knew better, you'd do better. Beware of women who talk a lot about sex, as they often have suffered a psychological breakdown from the lack of it. Avoid women who talk a lot about sex, because often they have gotten psychological breakdown from the lack of it. Friendship is an art of keeping distance, while love is an art of intimacy. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. The best is always the enemy of the good. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. A husband is almost always only a substitute for the beloved man, and not this man himself.